It's Australia Overnight, heard through Canberra's 2CC, Muswellbrook's 2NM, Cairns 4CA, Innisfail's 4KZ, good morning, 4MK Mackay, 3AW Melbourne, YB in Warrnambool, 2UE Sydney, 4BC Brisbane, Alice Springs 8HA, wherever you're listening. Good to have your company. It's time we talk to Media Matters, and it's time, therefore, we talk to Nic Hayes. Good morning, Nic.
Good evening, Andrew. Good evening, Mark.
Nice to talk to you, Nic, and happy Australia Day to you.
Happy Australia Day to you. The day that we take off for the fact that our Australia Day falls on a Sunday, but being Australian, it is our right to demand that Monday we have off as well.
Yes, I know. And I wonder how many people have got some pretty sore heads this Tuesday too. Now, with the theme, though, of Australia Day in mind still in our thoughts, perhaps we could focus on the Australian of the Year. I know you want to, don't you, Nic?
Yeah, look, it's an important role. I like to call it the Australian of the Year, the ambassador of opportunity. I think it's the committee that comes together to go away and choose the Australian of the Year. It does bring and raise a few issues there, and it can be quite contentious for some. It can be quite annoying. People are quite vocal about the Australian of the Year because they've all got their own thoughts and views on who they believe should be the Australian of the Year. Should it be someone who has gone and fought for Australia? Should it be someone that's trying to cure cancer? Should it be an actor, or as we saw last year with Ida Buttrose, a former media executive and one that does a lot of work with charities? This chosen one, I think, is probably one of the best in recent years, being Adam Goodes, the current AFL footballer, and also community leader. I think it's a smart, wise decision, but it's a decision, I think, that was brought about a lot by the fact some of his actions in the media last year.
Yes, I know. He's certainly emerged as quite a spokesperson for his people, hasn't he?
He has indeed, and he's been a community leader, an Indigenous community leader for a long, long time. There's no doubting that. I think for a lot of people that it was, and I've been going through social media responses, listening to a bit of talkback that was even ignited today, and talking about what they thought of Adam Goodes and whether they thought he was a worthy recipient to be the Australian of the Year. He is an outstanding man. There is no doubt about it. He is fantastic on a football field. He can kick a pigskin around and do it better than any other footballer out there because he's won 2 Brownlow medals, he's won premierships, he's done all that. But at the end of the day, it's almost probably something that we'd like to see people taking away the fact that he is a great AFL footballer. He's a leader of his community, and he's done some amazing things and has the ability, particularly with this role, to do some even further amazing things.
Do you think it's that incident in the Sydney-Collingwood game where the young girl yelled at him a racial slur? Do you think that's what's put him in this position, or is there more to it?
Look, without any doubt, 2013 was a big year for Adam Goodes. Let's just quickly put it, if you're not a great AFL football follower and a little bit behind the scene there, behind us there, he did stop in the middle of a game against Collingwood where a girl had actually referred to him as an ape. Now, footballers and anyone who's played sport at any level have had every taunt thrown at them. And look, it's just one too many, and it was probably the straw that broke the camel's back here that ended up putting this on a national and even on an international scene as far as media goes. We were very, very interested in it because it was so dramatic, it was so in the face of this 13-year-old girl that it had to put racism back on top of the agenda. And it was a time, I think, you can quite easily put aside and just say, look, walk away from it and think that he could possibly do that. But Adam stood up and could have quite easily walked away, but he stood up and said, no, look, I'm not going to put up with it any longer. Please take that girl away, take her out of the stadium. I don't want to play in front of you, and I don't think I need to. This is my workplace, and I don't need to put up with that. And that was a very highly publicised incident. Had mixed feelings towards it.
Yes, I know. I received calls on both sides of that, that the girl was being just a bit too much pilloried and maybe he should have just...
And definitely the Australian nation, right across from east to west, had mixed feelings towards
Yes, I know. I received calls on both sides of that, that the girl was being just a bit too much pilloried and maybe he should have just, as you said, let it go, because sledging of all kinds occurs on sporting fields, unfortunately, these days.
Exactly, and to Adam Goods, to the best, well, I believe he did something quite forgiving and very much in support of the young girl. Lay off her, leave her alone. Look, this is not the issue at all. Racism is the issue, and he's brought it to the table, and that was something there that I think it's time. It's time for this to happen because we are a wonderful country. This is one of the greatest countries in the world, but there is an undertone of racism that exists, and I think it's time to stamp it out. And Adam Goods very much took a step forward, a little like Nicky Winmar, ex-St Kilda footballer,
That's right.
St Kilda footballer 20 years ago, stood up, raised his shirt and said, "Yes, I'm proud to be black."
That's right. He pointed to his black chest, didn't he? That's right.
Correct,
yeah.
and that's one of the most, I think, iconic symbols there of social and also, I guess, social cohesion, racism that has actually been brought about on a football field, and it really did raise questions, and questions that need to be asked, and we definitely need answers.
And of course, then after that incident, there was that silly radio slur by the president of Collingwood too, which was wasn't nastily intentioned, put it that way, but it came off badly for Eddie Maguire, didn't it?
I think Eddie Maguire will go down and say, look, that was probably one of my biggest mistakes I've made in my broadcasting career, a very long, lengthy, and very, very good media career. But just a silly thing to go away and say. And again, it's something there that just has to be continually just brought up. Andrew, I'm against political correctness at the highest level. I think we overdo it too easily and too quickly. But at this point, it was something there. We have to get rid of it. And for Eddie Maguire to go away and do that, that was just uncalled for. We've put it to bed now. We said, yep. And to Adam Goods, to what I believe is probably a gentleman that is very forgiving and can give it and put this away, but he will not let the issue die. And that is something that he should be commended for.
I know you're very impressed, Nick, by an article written in the Melbourne Age by Andre Webster.
Yeah, Andrew Webster, sorry, mate, that's Andrew Webster. Yeah, he just highlighted the issues there because I think particularly in Talkback Radio, we all have an opinion, and I grant everyone an opinion. I love listening to Gigi after this interview because she's always in support of me. I hope she's in support of me in this particular one. But at the end of the day, we've all got an opinion. Now, the one thing I think about this particular issue, when you declare an Australian of the Year, I want the fact that he's an AFL football taken away. I want the idea that he is Indigenous, he's an Aboriginal Australian taken away. Just the work that he's doing should be what it's all about. And we've seen people like Jeffrey Rush, the actor, stand up and be Australian of the Year. I mean, Ida Buttrose, we just referred to. I mean, these people are well known for what they do in their working life, but it is about what they do in the community that's important. And
well, we should perhaps highlight that, what actually Adam Goods has done for Indigenous students. Well,
he runs a scholarship program there for Indigenous students with his cousin Michael O'Loughlin, another Swans football player. He is a big participant in the Fred Hollows charity, looking after Indigenous issues there, particularly with eyes. He has been standing up against domestic violence in his community for a very, very long time. He has done some amazing things, and he is just as equal as those that have done things in charity, people that are professors that are looking to cure and find the answers to some of the diseases that have been keeping us down for such a long time.
Yeah, now if I can just be the devil's advocate a little bit, I do find it perhaps... Oh, it's not just in Australian society, it's in so many Western societies, that this adoration of sports people, raising them on the heights of Mount Olympus because they play a particular sport well. I do find it just sticks in my craw from time to time.
Andrew, you and I couldn't agree more. I think sports people, to a degree, are raised so high on a platform that it is really not a place. They shouldn't be the role models for children in many cases. I mean, I've known many a sporting person that you only see in the media what they've got up to in their private lives and what they do on and off the field. It's, these people are just good at doing a particular sport. Look, Shane Warne, one of the greatest Australian cricketers to ever play, all he can do is spin the ball beautifully. What he does on and off the field, our children shouldn't be following that. It's just...
No, indeed.
It's just, you and I agree totally on that. And I think in this particular case...
So are they really heroes, sports people? I don't know. Yes and no?
No.
I don't know. No?
I say no. I think the heroes are the people that teach our children, the doctors that are serving, in our emergency wards. I think those that, pick up a rifle and go and protect this country, they're the heroes. I think that we've just got a society, particularly in the media, where we build these people up to a point that it's almost impossible for youth and young people and even adults to look at these people and see them nothing but heroes. But no, they're not the real heroes. But in this case, I think Adam Goodes is an exception, and I think they've chosen really wisely for Australian of the Year.
I think he probably has been chosen mostly for the work outside of the football field, hasn't he?
Yes, there is no doubt about that. And I think, if anything, it was probably the one thing that was holding him back is the fact that he is. But let's use this gentleman, Adam Goodes, to be that ambassador of opportunity, to go away and spread this message further. Because, look, as I said earlier, I think this is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, and the people are fantastic, but there is an undertone of racism that we have to get rid of. And I'm not saying Australia is alone on this. There's plenty of countries out there that have this and have it a lot worse. But boy, oh boy, if we could get rid of this, this country would far exceed any other country by a golden mile.
It'd be interesting to see how history remembers Adam Goodes as a great voice for his people or as a footballer. I think it's going to be for the former.
I think it will be for the former. And as a community leader, without any doubt, they've chosen a very, very wise candidate for Australian of the Year. And, we've seen plenty of Indigenous people come through as Australians of the Year or Young Australians of the Year, and they've done some great things. I just think that there's an opportunity, particularly with his media profile, to go away and do something more, because I think, again, Australian of the Year, it's a very important role. You are travelling around the country, you're travelling around the world, and you are putting forward your message, and you've got the attention of the Australian people for one whole year. And you do have the attention of the people for a further time onwards. But this is your year, and this is your year to make a difference. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see how Adam performs in this year and just what sort of traction he gets.
I know the question at the end of the day, Andrew, and I challenge there to the listeners there, is that it's not about who you think should be the Australian of the Year. It's what we get behind that person. Male, female, Aboriginal, non-Aboriginal, doesn't really matter. But we are Australians, and we should be getting right behind them and supporting, and also to getting their messages heard. And that's the most important thing.
Perhaps we should sum this all up with the words of Adam Gilchrist. I know you like them.
Oh, I love them. Adam Gilchrist, he's like the former Test cricket wicketkeeper. He's on the Australian Day Council. In fact, he is the chairman. And I think his words were quite clear and something that we should all think about. People might debate if we made the right choice, but they can never say we made the wrong choice. And I think that those words on Adam are absolutely superb.
Yeah, they say so much, don't they? Thank you once again, Nick.
Good on you, Andrew, and talk to you next week.
Nic Hayes, our media man.